In November 2023, Russia's frontman Geddy Lee sat across from a Guardian reporter, reminiscing about music, legacy, and the art of rhythm. "We're living in a time rich for great drummers," he said thoughtfully, name-dropping Tool's Danny Carey and Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Then, almost as an afterthought, he mentioned a name many readers had never heard before. "I heard this drummer the other day, Anika Nilles, I think. She played on the last Jeff Beck tour, and I thought she was terrific." What Lee didn't know then was that this passing comment would later mark the beginning of a new chapter for Rush, a rebirth few fans ever thought possible. For years, Rush's silence had been deafening. Their last performance was on August 1st, 2015, in Los Angeles, at the end of the monumental R40 tour. Soon after, the band's legendary drummer, Neil Peart, quietly announced his retirement. He was struggling on that tour. Physical ailments, pain. He was a perfectionist to the core. He didn't want to give less than 100%. That's how he lived his whole career. Then, in January 2020, the world learned the heartbreaking truth that Peart had been fighting brain cancer in private for years. His death left not only a void in music, but also in the hearts of his bandmates. For guitarist Alex Lifeson, grief became paralysis. "Every time I pick up a guitar, I just aimlessly mess around and put it down after 10 minutes. The joy was gone. The spark was gone." And for a while, it seemed Rush was gone too. In the weeks after Peart's passing, messages poured in from drummers all over the world. Each email came with a familiar subject line: "If you ever need a replacement." Lee later admitted those messages were painful to read. "We were still mourning. Dude, wait 2 months, at least 2 months, if ever." The idea of continuing without Neil felt unthinkable. But time, as it often does, began to shift things. By 2025, the fog of grief had started to lift. Then came a call that changed everything, from Paul McCartney himself. The Beatle encouraged Lee and Lifeson to get back on stage, to celebrate what they'd built rather than mourn what they'd lost. In an October 2025 press release, Geddy Lee finally broke the news fans had been hoping to hear. "Alex and I have done some serious soul-searching and come to the decision that we fucking miss it. It's time for a celebration of 50-something years of Rush music." But one question remained. Who could possibly sit behind Neil Peart's drum kit? The answer came from an unexpected source: Lee's bass tech, Scully. Scully had been working with Jeff Beck before the guitar legend's death. On that final tour, he couldn't stop talking about the drummer, a young German woman named Anika Nilles. "She's incredible," he told Lee repeatedly. "A great player and a great person." Curious, Lee did what any musician in the modern era would do. He went to YouTube. There she was, Anika, commanding her kit with both power and precision, blending emotion with control. Born in 1983 in Aschaffenburg, Germany, Anika had been surrounded by drummers all her life. She picked up the sticks at 6, but her path wasn't straightforward. She spent years working a safe job in social education, until, around 2010, she took the terrifying leap into full-time music. "It was risky," she told Modern Drummer. "You get used to comfort, but I knew I wasn't happy. So I quit." Her gamble paid off. A viral video of her original track, Wild Boy, catapulted her into the global drumming spotlight, leading to festival gigs, awards, and a place on Jeff Beck's final tour. "For me, music is emotion," she said in an interview. "On drums, that emotion comes from dynamics, sound and silence, notes and touch. When those come together, that's where the beauty lives." When Rush began quietly discussing a possible reunion, Lee brought up Anika's name. They agreed to test the chemistry, but privately. "It wasn't an audition," he explained. "We weren't even sure we wanted to tour. It was just an experiment." They flew her to Canada under the radar. No press, no leaks. Just 3 musicians in a room, trying to find out if old magic could still breathe with new energy. And it did. I'm very happy to say she's fantastic to play with. Lee said at an October 2025 press event. We've had a number of sessions and we're going on the road with her. For Lee and Lifeson, the decision wasn't about replacing Neil Peart. It was about honoring him. You can play his drum fills, Lee admitted, but getting into his headspace, his feel, that's work, and Anika's doing it. At 72, Lee seemed almost reinvigorated by the collaboration. She's much younger than us, but she came to Rush's music without preconceptions. That's what I love. She's learning the nuances, and she's winning. So when the lights go down on their 2026 tour, and that familiar thunder of drums fills the air once again, it won't just be about nostalgia. It'll be about rebirth. How music, even after loss, finds a way to keep its heartbeat alive.